Let's put a spin on our spin dip. Hey guys, welcome back to At the Table. Sydney here, and today we are going to be making a recipe that you can spin into a couple different things. So holidays are coming up. Not only is Thanksgiving coming up, but holiday gatherings in general. I feel like after Thanksgiving hits, it's go, go, go between family or friend gatherings or work gatherings, and so you're always looking to find something that you can bring to these different events. A common one that most everyone likes is spinach dip, right? So I have a spinach dip. Actually, it's technically a spinach and artichoke dip. I forgot the artichokes, so we're just gonna do straight spinach today. And we'll just do a little extra spinach and it will be good. But you could add artichokes to this and make it a spinach and artichoke dip if you wanna go that route as well. But that's a very common one that is definitely a crowd pleaser that a lot of people like. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna make the spinach dip. But then let's say that you go and you have a ton of that dip left over and you don't want to eat a bunch of spinach dip all the time. So I'm going to show you a couple other things that you can do with that spinach dip to still use it up, feed your family, but not feel like you're eating the same things over and over. So what we're going to start with, I do have just one of the frozen packages of spinach. So we're going to take this and throw it into some water. It's a cup of water. And it was boiling. Now that I've put that big frozen chunk in there, it's stopped. But we're just gonna boil that together and heat it up. And just really kind of cook that spinach down. Because right now it is frozen solid in the middle still. And I've had it sitting out for a little bit to thaw it. So just keep that in mind. If you are, you can just pull it directly from the freezer to throw it in here, but it's gonna take a little bit longer for it to cook simply because it is frozen. So this is an Alton Brown recipe, which I love his stuff. If you've ever heard of him, he is just amazing with all the stuff that he comes up with. So we are gonna be adding a little bit of, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding the other stuff that we'll add that spinach to. So we're gonna add our cream cheese. Now I bought the one that is a little bit more low fat. You could, of course, go full fat if you were choosing, but was just trying to be a little bit more health conscious here. And with something like spinach dip, usually you're eating it with something else. So you're either gonna be putting it on your bread or you're gonna be using it with crackers or whatever it might be. So I feel like that's something that you could go ahead and you could absolutely do a lower fat and people won't really notice because it's mixed in with so many other flavors, typically. So I'm just gonna scoop this out. And that was about 6 ounces of cream cheese. So not quite the whole block. If I was experimenting today, I'd just go ahead and put the whole block in there because I hate having just this little bit left over, but you can always save that for bagels or something else. All right, the next thing that we're gonna add is our sour cream, and we're just doing 1/4 cup of sour cream. So I am just going to eyeball that. That might be closer to 1/2 cup, that's okay. And then we also have 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese. I am gonna measure this one. I tend to like to measure dry things, not so much liquid things, because they're just so much more messy. Now you could use this is just what we had in our extension kitchen today, but you could use any Parmesan cheese. You could use the fresh Parmesan cheese. I think that would take it even more to the next level. or this is kind of more of the powder type of Parmesan. All right, then we have some mayonnaise. So we're gonna do about 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. If I don't dirty the jar here. And then we have a few different spices that we're gonna add. We're gonna do just a little bit of those red pepper flakes. And a little bit of garlic powder. And the last thing is a little bit of salt, and I'm gonna throw some pepper in there, because they kind of go together. All right, so then we just mix this up, and it'll mix even better once you get that spinach in there, because of course the spinach is hot, and so that'll help with the cream cheese. But I'm gonna go ahead and mix it now, as best I can now, and then we'll stir it up a little bit more once we get that spinach done. All right. So our spinach looks like it's doing good over here. It's definitely thawed out and it's all cooked down. So what I'm gonna do next is just pour this into our strainer over here. And we're gonna let that drain really well, and we're gonna take a break. We'll see you guys back in just 1 second.
Eastern North Carolina is a beautiful place where we gladly choose to call home. And we strive to provide the best communications services. STAR is committed to improving communications to all our service areas because we want to improve the communities where we not only work, but also live. STAR Communications. We are neighbors serving neighbors.
If you run a business, you need sales. To get sales, you need customers. To get customers, you need exposure. Let our team of experts craft and produce the perfect video ad to reach your intended audience while making the most of your advertising dollars. Call 1-800-706-6538 or visit starcom.net to contact our STAR Communications production team and get your business moving to the next level.
Let's get out of here.
Protect what matters most in your life with security from STAR Communications.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we have our mixture all mixed together and our spinach is drained. Very simple recipe. That is all that there is to it. If you were doing the artichokes with this, the recipe calls for frozen artichokes. I don't see why you couldn't use the canned if that's what you have available. But you would just boil those together and then mix it this same exact way. So just want to stir it up so that it's all mixed together perfectly. And you can always adjust that spice level. So we did add some red pepper flakes. I didn't do a ton because to me, red pepper flakes are really hot. So I did just a little bit for a little flavor. I think some smoked paprika would be really tasty in this as well. If you're looking for a different spice that's maybe not so hot. Smoked paprika doesn't tend to be quite as spicy as those red pepper flakes. So stir it up and it looks good. That is all done. So there you go. What we're gonna do next is I've just got some bread. So this is just one of those little baguettes that I have chopped up, and we're gonna throw this into the air fryer to just give it a little bit of a different flavor. Now you could absolutely do this in just your oven if you prefer to go that route. If you're doing it in your air fryer, you want to make sure that you're spraying it with a little bit of olive oil or something to help it to crisp up really well. And it really only needs about 5 minutes in your air fryer. So I'm gonna do both sides. If you wanna use butter, you absolutely could do that. This is like an olive oil spray. And then I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt, because that makes everything taste better. And we're gonna throw this into the air fryer. So I'm gonna have y'all follow me over there. We have our air fryer up and loaded over here. So any air fryer that you have will work. There's a ton of different varieties. And we actually have an air fryer workshop coming up December 15th. So if you're interested in learning more about an air fryer and how to use that, definitely come and join us on December 15th. And you'll be able to learn about the different types of air fryers and also practice using them yourself. Anytime you come to my classes, we always do hands-on. So you're gonna be the one that is chopping things up, learning how to function this. So you'll be doing all of this yourself with my help, of course, but I like for it to be hands-on experience because you tend to learn better that way. So we've just kind of layered this on the bottom. You don't want it to be overlapping a ton. I've got a few pieces that are kind of overlapping just a little bit, just barely, but not enough to make a difference. So we're gonna throw this in. This one doesn't really require you to heat it up ahead of time. I did turn it on ahead of time just to get it warmed up a little bit, but it's not really necessary. So I'm gonna turn that to 400, and we're just gonna do 5 minutes. And it'll start on its own. There it goes. So that just goes ahead, it starts cooking, and it'll start to crisp up that bread. So this is just another way for you to heat up bread, or, I mean, typically if you're gonna serve spinach and artichoke dip, you might want it with a really tasty bread. You could also put this into the oven. So if you were doing the oven, I would do about the same temperature, around 400, and just layer it on your baking pan, and you'd probably do around 8 minutes. And that's just another way for you to make that as well. So we're gonna let that bread finish up. We'll see you guys back in just a second, and we're gonna make something else with this spinach dip.
Honey, do we pay our bill?
What bill?
The Star Communications bill.
No worries, honey. With Star's paperless billing and automatic draft system, I get a notification sent right to my phone. There's no need to be bothered with those paper statements, and our bill is paid on time every month.
Well, that's easy and convenient.
It sure is, honey.
Honey,
Yes, dear.
the bake.
Oh, right.
You're out for an evening on the town. Finally a chance to relax and forget that you left your front door completely unlocked. Fortunately, you just installed a security system from Star Communications. With just your cell phone, you can check on your house, lock it down, light it up, and get back to relaxing.
He forgot to put Buster in his crate.
Unfortunately, we can't help with that. Security and automation from Star Communications. Call today to find out more.
Just because something may work doesn't mean it's right for your business. Let Star Communications' knowledgeable consultants help you customize a hosted voice system that's right for you. Our dedicated experts work with you to understand your business needs and guide you at every step, from choosing and installing services to ongoing maintenance and support. Contact Star today.
Welcome back, guys. So we have our bread all done. It was in the air fryer and it looks good. Nice and crispy. If you didn't want it quite this crispy, you could cut it back to about 3 minutes or so. But to me, this looks perfect. You still want it to have that good crunch when you're biting into it. And this also just depends on the thickness of your bread. So if you cut your bread really thin, it's gonna cook a lot faster. So just keep that in mind. These are about 1 inch to 1.5 inch cuts on these. So just be mindful of that. Put that guy back in. You can see how good our, oh, he wanted to start on me. You can see how good our bread looks. So that is all done, ready to go. So we're gonna go back over to our spinach and artichoke, well, spinach dip, if you want to call it spinach and artichoke. And we're gonna do something else with it. So I mentioned sometimes we might have this stuff left over, and let me pull that out real quick. Otherwise it'll keep beeping on us. So with our spinach dip, sometimes we have a lot of this left over. Let's say somebody else brought a spinach dip, or maybe it just didn't get eaten as much as you thought it would. So another thing that you can do, which I had some lovely ladies tell me about, and they did this actually with collards. They were talking about doing this with spinach dip, but also doing this with even just collards that they had left over, is using these wontons. So you can buy these little wonton wrappers. They're typically in the refrigerated section. And in Food Lion, it's kind of in the vegan section with tofu and things like that. But they're just little wonton wrappers. And what you do is you just put a little bit of your dip in the middle of it. And then you do have to use a little bit of water to seal it. So I'm gonna put just a little bit on that edge, and I might have got a little bit much in there. That'll be okay. It'll cook when it comes out. And you use the water to help seal it. Maybe my next one will be better. Takes a little bit of practice, as you can see. So you can make as many of these as you want, depending on how much dip you have left over. And it's very easy to do. And what we're actually gonna do, I'm gonna try it this way. Let's see if I roll this in. This would be a fun thing to do with kids, because you can really do it any way that you want to with how you roll it. It's very simple. It's just a hands-on little activity that doesn't really require a ton of utensils, knives, things like that. And you know, you would just cook it yourself in the oven, or the way we're gonna do it is we're gonna put it in the air fryer. There we go. There was my best one that I've made thus far. I'm gonna have a couple different options over here. So like I said, you can do this any way that you want, and it is a nice little tasty kind of meal for you to have, or a little appetizer or treat that you can have with that leftover spinach dip. Another thing that's really great that you can do with this, and I used to work, I think I've talked about this before, I used to work at a pizza place growing up in high school. And then I also, when I went to college, I worked at that same pizza place. It was a chain whenever I moved to Wilmington to go to school. And we had funky pizzas all the time. They were like gourmet pizzas. So one of those was a spinach dip pizza. And it was always really, really good. So what you can do is use this spinach dip as a base. And then, of course, you have your pizza crust. And then you have your spinach dip that you put on there as your base. And then if you want to add any meat, you could always add chicken to the top of that. And you actually cook it in the oven just like you do your typical pizza. And it turns out so, so good. So that's something that you could easily do yourself. You could buy a pizza crust, or you can even just use flatbreads and, you know, use that on your flatbreads. I'm all about trying to find ways to use up things that I have. We get tired of eating the same old things sometimes. And sometimes it's just nice to have a little different spin on a dish. So we've got those kind of made up. You can do as many as you want. What we'll do next, I'll take you over here. We'll put them in the air fryer. So I'm gonna set this next to me, and then I'm just gonna carry these little guys. And we will just spritz them with that olive oil. Now you could absolutely use more olive oil if you wanted to, and use that on the outside. But we're just gonna go with the spray today. So I'm gonna use a little bit of this and spray it in the bottom of my pan. And then I'm just gonna lay these on here. I'll put my little funky rolled one up to the side. And I'm gonna spray it again. And we're gonna throw that in here. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit we'll keep it at 370. And I really only think it'll take about 6 or so minutes. So we're gonna let that cook. We'll show you guys the finished product when it's all done, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of At the Table. It's a little bit shorter today, but this is just a really simple thing that you can do for the holidays. Enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you guys back next time.